Hi dear friends, my name is Professor Dr. Mahul Brahma. I am a professor and Dean, School of Media and Communication at Adamas University. I am a fellow at Batspa University, UK. I am starting a lecture series on communication and branding, covering various facets of this dynamic subject that impacts lives of everyone, from the CEO to a student, every day. So, this capsule, this video, is on a very favorite subject of mine, which is luxury. So I would be covering the mythic value of luxury, branding of luxury, product management of luxury. The mythic value of luxury is a term that I have coined. I have a book on the mythic value of luxury. So here I have looked at luxury from a sociological and anthropological perspective, trying to find out an answer to the question of what makes some brands live for centuries and other brands fail to survive. The mythic value of luxury basically says that brands, luxury brands, need to create a mythic value. And what is a mythic value? It is an embodiment of two contradictions. The larger the contradiction, the more stark the contradictions, the greater the mythic value. So, for example, let me give you an example of a famous sculptor, Auguste Rodin, and his creation called The Thinker. We've all seen that very well built individual. He's sitting like this and contemplating. Now, Rodin has a series of fantastic work that he's created over a century ago. However, Thinker sticks into our mind because it embodies the two greatest contradictions, body and mind. So, similarly, luxury brands like Cartier and Rolls-Royce and Rolex, they have been able to, maybe unwittingly, create a semblance of contradictions in what they embody. For example, when I visited, I remember, the Milan store of Cartier, I have seen that they very strategically have placed the photograph of Maharaja of Patiala and his crown necklace. That crown necklace had over 2000 De Beers diamonds and a centerpiece of, I think, over 230 carat. Now, imagine the contradiction here. There is an Indian male wearing a woman's best friend or a girl's best friend, which is diamonds, as popularized by De Beers. So these contradictions, perhaps the luxury brands consciously or subconsciously have seen that there is, an attraction that the customers feel. There is an attachment that the customers feel, and that is how they market it and they keep it going. So, talking on this, let me get into the history of luxury in India. So, in that, the origin of luxury brand and Indian Maharaja and Indian novelty and royalty, it starts long back in the early 1900s. And there are instances where we've seen that the Maharajas are engaged with the luxury brands very actively. 25% of sales of Rolls-Royce used to come only from India. The Nizam used Harley-Davidson for his postman to deliver his letters. I just told you the story of Maharaja of Patiala and the Cartier crown necklace. And there are numerous stories wherein you will see that there is a wonderful attachment of Indian royalty and luxury brands, branded luxury. This is very unlike that of China, wherein historically they were more concerned about their own craftsmanship. They were more concerned about, they're very closed and not engaged with the luxury brands as they are today. And China being one of the biggest markets today, the fastest growing one at that. In my trilogy called the Luxe Trilogy, I have talked about it. The first book, Decoding Luxe, talks about the evolution of luxury. So this is how luxury evolved. The love affair between India and the luxury brands internationally evolved. In my second book, Dark Luxe, which was on stories of fiction, but it actually talks about luxury and crime, in a fantasy version, wherein the luxury products are talking about their experience of crime. My third book, Luxe Inferno, is partly an autobiographical story of my journey into the 9 levels of hell. And there are certain contemporary essays on that. But basically it is a philosophical quest looking at luxury from a philosophical perspective. So we need to understand luxury from a deeper perspective than the superficial perspective of cataloging and price tags and all. And that has been my endeavor, my journey. My TED talk is also on the same, on the mythic value of luxury. And looking at luxury from a perspective which is a little deeper, beyond price tag and catalogs. So when we talk about creating a luxury brand, communication becomes very important. When we talk about creating that timeless brand, mythic value is very important. So we have to see the overall attributes of the brand and find out what are the exact opposites of it, so that we are able to embody the two contradictions in that brand, and that's very important. It's very important to create a legacy when we are talking about luxury brands. So creating a legacy is very important, and communication can help create that legacy. If there is an existing legacy, that's fine. Otherwise, somewhere the legacy needs to be created. An association needs to be created which has a legacy, for example, royalty. So a luxury product, the placement of the product, the positioning of the product is very important. So once you identify the positioning of the product, the entire brand story can be framed, can be communicated. So once the positioning of the product is determined, then legacy, mythic value, who's the target customer, where does the brand see itself or the product sees itself in 5 years, what are the geographies that the brand is targeting. All these aspects are very important to be captured well. Another very, very important thing is understanding the consumer's mind. The consumer there are flaunters, there are aesthetes who are basically flaunting brands. These are the categories who are not into aesthetics, but they are into flaunting brands. So there are flaunters. So if you are catering to that category, if your product is that category, you have to understand what they want. There are categories which are connoisseurs. There are categories who are, these are the categories who are very much into appreciating the craftsmanship, appreciating, the finer things in life. And there are people who are into the aesthetics of it, the way the brand, the product was developed. For example, Shatush, It's taken from the wool of very, very rare antelope, and it takes years to collect that wool, and from where you have the Shatu shawl, which is very rare and an Indian luxury legacy. So all these things need to be kept in mind when you are conceiving the product and putting the product across. Again, there are challenges and there are opportunities in the luxury world. If you are getting into a crowded market, like say watches, or if you are trying to, then you have to find a niche. So what is the USP of your product? If you are getting into a niche market, then the challenge is that then you have to make the market, you have to create that market. And communication plays a very, very critical role in market making, which I will share in one of my later lectures on strategic communication. But communication plays a very important role in making the market. So that needs to be kept in mind. Opportunity, as I said, opportunity depends that the market that you are getting into. Once you identify the market, once you identify the existing players and do a SWOT analysis, you will be able to identify a blue ocean strategy, wherein you will be able to create a market for yourself, even in the existing market, a niche for yourself. From a red ocean, you can move to a blue ocean strategy. So that is something that the mindset has to be of the brand custodian. So the essence of luxury, I have talked about luxury and the essence of luxury, and that's why I have always looked at luxury not from a conventional perspective, not from a perspective that how expensive something is. So when I was working with the India partner of New York Times and managing a luxury magazine there, that is where I realized that there is a dearth of literature on luxury, and that is my journey, my endeavor towards creating a literature on luxuries. So my latest book, the Mythic Value of Luxury, is basically talking about the essence of luxury. So I've tried to look at luxury from a literary, from a philosophical, from a sociological, from an anthropological perspective. And the Mythic Value of Luxury is an essence of it. So luxury communication, luxury branding is incomplete until and unless you have clarity in understanding what luxury essentially means. Thank you.